Let's talk about sales. As we're filming this video right now, I own two separate businesses that both alone do $1 million+ a year in sales. One's the home service lighting businesses that I make all my content about, and then I have an online business as well that also does over 7 figures in sales per year. I am pre-qualified to talk about two things with a decent amount of authority: marketing and sales. I'm specifically sharing with you exactly the processes and systems that we use in mostly the home service businesses, but a lot of the concepts we use in the online business too. They'll help you crank high ticket sales.
Amateur or professional?
Professional.
Why should you listen to me specifically? Let's take my home service business over the last 5 years. When we started in 2020, our average ticket was in the thousands. Every single year since then, we have progressed where our average ticket to now, while we're filming, our average ticket is over $4,000 a job. That means when you take all 200 something, whatever customers we had this year, our average customer pays us over $4,000 a job. And so in this video specifically, we're gonna go over how you specifically set up your sales process, and it starts well before you're actually out in person trying to sell somebody or trying to sell them on the phone. Exactly what to say, how to frame the customers right, how to increase your close rate, and then also utilize systems that can actually help you close at a higher rate. And so you're not having to watch every Andy Elliott and Grant Cardone video known to man to try to figure out why you can't convince anybody to say yes to you.
Why is this so hard?
So number one, before we go anywhere else, ignore the rest of this video. Just pay attention to this if you're not already doing this in your business. Who you are selling to matters. I do not care if you're a window cleaner. I don't care if you're a Christmas light guy. I don't care if you're a plumber, an electrician, a roofer. Who you are selling to matters. I do not care if you are Alex Hormozy combined with Grant Cardone, combined with Jeremy Meyer, combined with every other sales influencer out there. If you are trying to sell a $4,000 or $5,000 job to somebody that is on a $40,000 a year fixed income with 5 kids, there is no amount of selling and sales skills and pre-framing and felt founding and all of this stuff that will ever convince them to be your customer ethically. Now, I say ethically because some people think that sales is just a pure manipulation game and they'll force feed opportunities down people's throats who have no business buying them. Now, I'm a fan of the free markets. I think people can make decisions on their own personal finances, but you know if you're selling someone something that doesn't benefit them at all. For example, in our Christmas light businesses, we've seen people talk about like, oh yeah, we offer financing. And I'm like, dude, if you are needing to finance your temporary Christmas light customers' jobs, you are selling to the wrong person. I like to sell all of my services across the board to people with money, AKA wealthy or rich people. What you need to do, one, is see, are you constantly getting in the door with people who are beating you up on price, and not buying for any other reason? If you are, the first thing you should do is go on the US Postal Service's website, look up the EDDM tools, which is basically their mailing tool. But what you can do is you can type in every zip code that you work in and find which zip codes in your area are the highest earning zip codes. And you can start doing your advertising there first. So first things first, you'll never turn someone below the poverty line into a high 4 or 5 figure customer ever. So let's just stop that right there. The reason I like to sell to rich people is because rich people buy for other reasons outside of price. But this is where everybody gets this wrong. Everybody says that they want to sell to the high ticket customers. Everybody says they want to sell to the rich people, but they don't act any different than the competition. And so if you're watching this, you're like, yeah, I only sell to rich people. And if I go see your truck and your truck is dirty all the time, or you have these crappy magnets, you don't have a wrap. And when you show up to places, you're not in a branded uniform and you don't actually send on your way texts and show up on time to people's places, and you don't send follow-ups, and your website doesn't look clean, and your social media isn't active, and you've got 2 5-star reviews on Google reviews or something like that, then you're not acting any different. So it's one thing to just say you want to sell to high ticket customers. It's a completely different thing to actually build your process and systems to attract those customers and actually show them that you're different. If we're taking just Christmas, for example, that's the industry that I have a decent reputation in. That's the industry that I speak at some conferences on. Everybody in those Facebook groups says they sell to rich people and they say they all know how to do it. They all know how to do this. They all know how to do that. I have yet to meet somebody that has a $4,000 average residential ticket that does the level of sales that we do. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of these guys say that they're targeting rich people and they say that they're the white glove service, but when I look at every other piece of evidence, they're not. And that's not me saying I'm just so great. I can lean on the fact that I have the results and I have documented those results on the internet. I don't need to sit here and explain that to you guys anymore. That's abundantly clear in the results from the business. We know how to target wealthy customers, period.
Target identified.
So now that we know who we're selling to matters, the most important part here, and this is where most of you guys are leaving the most money on the table. Your sale does not come at the point of giving a quote. That is not your sales process. That is not you being a salesman. The sale starts before the customer ever reaches out to you. And now that sounds like some foo-foo BS nonsense. I can promise you this is abundantly clear if you want to sell to higher ticket clients. If I go on your Instagram and I see a bunch of photos of whatever trade you're doing, and there's no photos of you, it looks like the pictures were taken with a potato, you haven't posted in 3 months, how do you expect customers to want to fork over more money to you than the neighborhood crackhead when on the internet, I can't tell who's who? You might do great work, but your social media, your Google business page, your website, your everything else does not corroborate that fact at all. And so your customers don't care who you are. They don't know that you're a great guy. They don't know that you and your wife started this business or you and your girlfriend started this business and you're just honorable, ethical people who go to church every Sunday and donate in your time at the soup kitchen. They don't know that. All customers know before they talk to you is what they're seeing on the internet in most cases. And so if you don't have your stuff dialed in on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your Google page, on your website, everywhere else, then you don't look any different than the competition. So how do you expect to be treated any differently? And so the pre-framing starts there. Let me define something super important for you guys really quick. It's called the customer journey. What the customer journey means is that in 2025, what we see through all of the marketing data, what we see everywhere is very few people have a large amount of trust in home services or anything like that. Most people are afraid that the company they hire is going to bring over the crackhead who's going to steal their checks out of their garage. Spoiler alert. My parents hired a roofer when I was a kid, and one of the guys on the roofer's crew stole my parents' checkbooks out of like a filing cabinet in the house or something like that. That is a really common thing. And so talk to a stay-at-home mom. Talk to anybody. If a contractor is coming to the house, the first thing on the mom's mind is where the kid's going to be, where's the family going to be, all that. Let me coordinate that because they don't know who's showing up. And home services, I'm in it, so I can say it. We're somewhat stigmatized as like plumbers, cracks, alcoholics, you know, everything like gruff and tough guys, everything like that. You have to frame people correctly up front. The quickest way that you can do that efficiently is looking good online. Now that you look good online, the next best thing you can do is humanize yourself and differentiate yourself as quickly as humanly possible. When they find you in one place, they go do their homework elsewhere on the internet. We have a $30,000 job who found us from a Facebook ad, but then submitted the form on our Google business page website link. And so what that means is that customers saw a Facebook ad, they were like, oh, Valley Christmas lights, they look good. Let me see more info on them. And because they're smart, they went and looked at us somewhere else on the internet. They didn't just convert right there from a Facebook ad. They opened up their phone Safari, they left the Facebook app, they opened Safari on their iPhone, and then they Googled us. And then they found our Google business page where we had a bunch of 5-star reviews, a bunch of photos from customers, everything else. They see our faces plastered everywhere on our website. And so that client goes, okay, wow, these guys are pretty good. I'm going to submit there. Notice that transition. We got her on one platform. She converted on another. What happens if I'm not paying attention to that second platform and I have 1 5-star Google review and then 3 1-stars? Is she going to convert? Is that $30,000 residential Christmas light customer going to convert? Probably not, because she's doing her homework. And there's one thing that is abundantly clear is rich people like to do their homework on this stuff, but not to beat people up on price. They want to make sure whoever's showing up is somewhat trustworthy and going to give them the 5-star experience that they want. And so you have to acknowledge the customer journey. And if there's somewhere along the line that you've been neglecting, you have to lean into that. You have to put a little bit more activity on your Facebook page. You have to post a little bit more on your Instagram. You have to make it look like somebody's home. You need to get more 5-star Google reviews. Fork over the extra couple $100 or $1,000 to get a website that doesn't look like a 2-year-old did it. Frame that way first.
Make sure they're all fed.
Okay, so now that they're pre-framed a little bit and the customers know you're not the neighborhood crackhead, the next step is actually converting that traffic to a lead. Pretty simple. If they come in through a Facebook ad, if they come in through your website, if they come in through calling you or whatever else, every single one of those first touches is a lead. right? They get referred to you by a friend. All of these are leads. What most people do wrong is they think that the lead means that they're intentionally going to use you. Generating the lead is 25% of it. That is a very small amount. If you do not understand the concept of speed to lead, that will be the difference between you building a 7-figure business and you never getting yourself out of the truck. And this is the most common thing I see across the board for most home service businesses. Speed to lead is the time it takes for you, your company, to get back to the customer who reaches out to you. They submit on your website, first name, last name, email, they say what they want, all that jazz. And then the speed to lead window is the time it takes for them to get the answer they're looking for from you. Most of you guys are in the truck, maybe you have a crew member, maybe you got something else. And so you're like, oh, I'll just get back to them when I can. Every second that goes by between when that customer initially reaches out to you and you get back in contact with them is every second that they could be calling a competitor, getting distracted by work, getting distracted by their kids, and a myriad of other things that come up. The best stat that I can share with you about this is the Harvard Business Review study. They did a study with a bunch of service-based businesses, and they found that businesses that got back to leads in under 5 minutes closed about 70-something% more jobs. But businesses who got back to people in under 60 seconds from the initial reach out had a 391% better conversion rate than the businesses that took more than 5 minutes. You could run the best ads and marketing in the world, and you could have the greatest ad team ever. You could have Apple's marketing and creative team combined with Microsoft, and then you could have Alex Hormozy writing all of your ad copy. If you just got back to people in under a minute, you would run circles around all of your competition. But most of you don't, and that's a massive issue.
So you need to set yourself apart,
But speed to lead goes much further than that. Speed to lead is, of course, what we were just talking about, how fast you get back to the customer to get the initial appointment. Now, some of you guys run a home service business that just quotes on the phone. So your next step would be speed to quote virtually. But a lot of you run home service businesses where you're setting up appointments, quotes, estimates, whatever that jazz is. So the next step is the same. Whether you're a phone quoter, like a window cleaner, you don't need to go out to every single one. Your next step is speed to estimate. And so you should be trying as fast as humanly possible to get obviously in contact with them first, pre-frame yourself, talk to them like a human being, and then get them the estimate as fast as humanly possible, because these stats are all the same when it comes to actually getting a quote in their hands fast too. Now, if you're doing an estimate in person, your next step is speed to appointment. It doesn't just end at speed to lead. When I audit home service businesses, the thing that drives me the most insane is they're like, oh yeah, we have decent speed to lead. We come in, we see that their speed to lead is terrible. But then they're like, yeah, we get back to people pretty quick. And then it's like a Monday and a lead came in and they got back to them in 2 hours. And the person was like, great, when's your next appointment? And then the person's like, oh, I can get out there Thursday. When they've reached out to you, they have never been hotter to give you their money than the moment that they reach out to you, because they took the onus upon themselves to reach out to you. So every second and hour and day that goes by, they are getting less excited. Life is happening to them. Life is distracting them, everything else. So why on earth are you setting up estimates 3 or 4 days out? And if you're so busy that it's taking you 4 days to get out to estimates, but you can't afford to hire somebody to actually help you with the fulfillment of your day-to-day jobs, then I hate to be the person that breaks the bad news to you, but you're too cheap. Because if you're working 40 hours a week and you can't afford to hire help, then you're just too cheap. And so you're working really hard, but your business can't get anywhere because anytime you go to hire people, your bills are going to raise, but you don't have enough profit to have it there.
Charge them.
So speed to appointment is going to be massive. So let's take my business's process and we'll break it down step by step. Someone submits on my website. They put their first name, last name, address, all that jazz. The second that submission comes in, I immediately have a system that goes and it pings my sales guy. My sales guy's phone rings instantly. Like I'm talking the second that lead is submitted, my sales guy's phone rings and it says, you have a new lead, press any button to get connected. He presses a button and it instantly connects him with that lead. The first words out of that prospect's mouth are always going to be, wow, that was fast. Score 1 for the good guys. So then on that phone call, the sales reps or the office staff, whoever fields that call, is immediately pre-framing the customer. What we mean by pre-framing is we're making sure the customer knows exactly who we are and why we're different. In the lighting business, we pre-frame them on cost. So we give them like a rough range so that we don't go out and quote a crackhead who is on a $30,000 a year government subsidized income. We want to make sure that they know exactly who they're getting when we come out. So on the phone, we don't tell them like, oh yeah, our average ticket's $5,000. Like, come on down. We frame them a little bit. We massage them a little bit because we haven't had the opportunity to really show how great great we are outside of our online presence. And so we give them a range on the phone and make sure we have a few basic pre-qualifying questions that the customer has to answer in a certain way for us to set up the in-person appointment. A few examples of those is, we tell them what our minimum is. We tell them like, hey, in this lighting business, if you're looking for somebody that's just gonna hang Home Depot lights and stuff like that, that's not us. We're a custom display company. We come out, we mock up things for you specifically. We custom fit the lights on your roof line. Our guys are out actually fitting them, cutting the cords for you. If you're looking for that white glove service, then you're in the right spot. Does that sound like something you're looking for? And when the customer says yes, we say, great. So now that we've pre-qualified the customer, the sales guys or the office staff is giving the customer multiple appointment windows in the soonest time available for our team. So if it's Monday at 10 a.m., you bet your ass I'm trying to get a sales rep out there same day. And if you think I'm crazy for that kind of speed, find another Christmas light company that sells a $4,000 average ticket residential install that's not doing permanent lights. That $4,000 number is just off of temporary lights. The processes that we've built allow us to get in front of the highest net worth clients and service them in the exact same way they're used to being serviced in every other aspect of their lives. That is why we've continued to scale up so aggressively. So if it comes in on Monday at 10 a.m., we're going to try to get out there same day. If it comes in at 3 p.m. and the guys are booked out, we will get a sales rep out there first thing the next morning. So we tell the customer, I have an appointment between 10 and 12, and then I have an appointment tomorrow between 2 and 4. Do either of those times work for you? Customer says, oh no, those days, that tomorrow's bad for me. Cool. Next opportunity is Wednesday morning. The number one goal is speed. Because the worst ran companies are going to eventually get back to them. But we want to woo them and wow them with our service first, so that the other companies look like chopped liver when it comes up to them. Because if you think about a customer who's buying based on something other than price, think about the perception of the company who is fast, efficient, and gives them exactly what they want, super fast. Think Amazon. We're like that. And then the company that takes 3 days to get out to an estimate, how do you think that they're going to service the customer if something goes wrong? Let's say, something happens with the install. Is it going to take that company 5 days to get back out and fix something? Probably. So we use that on the sales cycle. On the permanent lighting business, we closed a job last week where we went out and quoted it same day. The customer was like, okay, I like you guys a lot. It's a little pricey, everything else. So we're like, okay, great. Tell us a little bit more. And so then she said, I have another company coming out next week. And it was like 6 days from now or something like that they were coming out to give an estimate. So that customer reached out to them after they reached out to us. And that company was like 6 days out to give them a quote. And so what we said was like, yeah, no, absolutely. Do your homework. We no pressure. However, the one thing I would want to communicate with you is if they're taking 5 to 6 days to come out there just to give you an estimate, how long do you think it's going to take for them to actually service you when something goes wrong? Like, let's say you're having a house party on a Saturday night and your lights aren't working. Like, that could be the potential for a headache. Would you agree? Customer said yes. We framed it nicely. We were massaging them. We had the relationship with them because we had already been there in person. Next thing you know it, deposit sent, 50% deposit down on the install. We won that job solely based off of speed to lead and follow up. That is going to be a more common occurrence than you think for high net worth individuals.
We're going to give them what they want.
So now the appointment's booked. The next step, and I think this is another massive differentiator for us, is we like to feed the prospects propaganda. And what I mean by propaganda is when we have the appointment scheduled, we then send the customer like 4 or 5 of our greatest hits. I'm talking Don't Stop Believing by Journey at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night at the bar, Tennessee Whiskey by Chris Stapleton at karaoke night. So we send them the best possible photos or videos of past installs so that they can start being like, oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. These are so pretty. And we play the greatest hits for them. So now they're also getting a little bit of satisfaction knowing like, wow, these guys are pretty dialed in. Look at all this. And then we've been pre-framed as the good guys even more so because the other companies are not doing that. They're just rolling out there because their systems are bad. So now we've been the fastest guys that give them the answer when they ask for a quote. We've been the fastest guys that give an answer to actually get out there and do an estimate. Now we are the only guys that have sent them a bunch of really quality content and propaganda that make us look different. So when we get on site, there is a huge differentiator between us and the competition. And so now when we're on site, we like to use this talk track. I stole this from Tanner at Drip Jobs. He makes a lot of good content. He's a painter. We like to say, hey, there's 2 ways we can go about this. Like if you know exactly what you want, you just want some lights on the roof line, you want everything like that, whatever your service is, you know exactly what people are looking for. We like to say, now I can go Taj Mahal here, but Taj Mahal is going to be expensive. Or I can just give you, you know, the basic package, whatever else you want. But then I'd love to design a little bit extra, just throw it your way, and you can decide whether you want to do it or not. And then you'll know pretty quick what that prospect's looking for in terms of project without being like, how much money do you want to spend? Like, that's a much easier way to massage the what do you want to pay or like, what are you looking for question here than just asking them how much they want to spend with you, because then you just reek of sales breath. Then when the customer answers the Taj Mahal way, we quote the Taj Mahal way. If the customer answers, yeah, like I was just looking for like some basic roofline stuff. So then the sales guy's going to go, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do the basic roofline stuff that you asked for. And then, do you mind, because I'm a designer and I like doing this stuff, do you mind if I throw in some additions that are optional that I think would look really good on your property? And no one's going to say no to that. And so we itemize out the optional items differently. That way we can squeeze more juice out of a lemon of a customer who just wanted the basic stuff. Maybe we throw in an extra $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 worth of product. But then on the other side, we're not going to lose the customer that truly just wanted the basic package by throwing them a quote for like 20 grand, where the second they open the email, they're about to throw their phone across the room. That has worked really well for us. So ideally we quote it in person. In busy season, we try to get a deposit on the spot. But for a lot of your guys' trades, like a plumber, HVAC company, painter, like closing on the spot isn't always like super realistic. You can do it, but a lot of your estimates are going to get approved, later in the day, later, whatever else. So we tell them we're going to send them a quote same day. And you bet your you-know-what that they are getting a quote same day if we tell them that. And then the follow-up sequence begins. We will send them the quote. If you're using Jobber or House Call Pro or anything like that, you're going to send them the quote via text message and email. You're going to send it in both ways. And then you're going to text them from either, if you're using Snipey Lead or if you're using like a separate CRM for like the sales and marketing side, you're going to or just your own personal phone number. You're going to text them and say, hey, just sent the quote over. Sometimes our system's a little wacky. Will you confirm that you got it? Right? So now you've sent the quote and you've given the customer an opportunity to text you back. Yeah, I got it. Looking good. Sounds good. Cool. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll follow up in a day or so. Great. Now, 24 hours goes by. We send a reminder on the quote, just a friendly reminder like, boop, you have a quote from Valley Christmas Lights. Here you go. You have a quote from Valley Premier Lighting. Here you go. We ideally like to touch them after we've sent the quote every day for 4 or 5 days. Now, a lot of you say like, oh, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, that's great. If they haven't responded to your quote, newsflash, they're already not your customer. So something is happening in the meantime. Maybe they're getting a bunch of other estimates from other companies and they're waiting or whatever else, but you want to continue to stay top of mind. They're already not your customer if you don't have a deposit. The only thing that can continue to happen is they're going to continue to not be your customer. You are now giving yourself more chances for them to become your customer with more follow-up. We closed a job last week that was like $4,000 or $5,000. They didn't respond until the 4th text nurture, and then they confirmed and bought. That customer probably would not have bought if we didn't follow up that way. They were super busy, entrepreneurial family, running around all day long. They just said, thank you for the follow-up. Yep, we're going to go with you guys. Boom. Job's done. And so the follow-up sequence is extremely important on the sales side as well. I'm going to segue a little bit for my home service and contracting businesses that sell a 4 or 5 figure product or bigger. I think a lot of the old school sales education talked about this good, better, best package system. And this is always going to give controversy. And people are going to always argue with me about this, especially boomers. Boomers specifically are going to always argue with me about this because a lot of the boomer entrepreneur influencers from like the 90s and early 2000s were really into this package selling. I actually disagree with that these days. I like to give a completely itemized, zeroed out quote for my services and let them check boxes along the way of different items to come in, because I think that the way people buy now is much more Amazon centric. It's much more online shopping centric. And I like to give the prospects the illusion of choice. And so if one company is sending them a quote that the line items come in and it's $15,000 total, and they get sticker shock, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then my company comes in and it's a zeroed out quote with an editable checkbox through Jobber, and the customer actually can pick and choose which items that they want to include in it, that will go a long way. So let's talk about the estimate for a second. When you build a quote or an estimate, the way you should build it should be so easy to understand that if an alien just came down to Earth for the first time and the printed out version of your estimate was on the street, they could pick it up and understand what you're selling. What's happening most of the time in a higher ticket item is you sold to one of the spouses, and then the other spouse is responsible for being your sales rep back with the other spouse. So let's say you quoted the wife, and then the husband comes home from work that night and the wife has the estimate. If you're going off of like, oh, well, her and I talked about this, so she's just going to communicate that to the customer, no one will sell your estimate better than you will. So you have to make it so easy that a caveman can understand what each line item is doing, what they're paying for, ideally attach photos, and make it so dumb and easy for people to understand that they will absolutely understand exactly what's being conveyed, and there's nothing that they need to call you about. Because the second that there's friction and the quotes are confusing and the husband doesn't understand what the wife's saying and the wife doesn't understand what the husband's saying, they're just going to defer to this is too confusing and go to the cheap guy. That's what's going to happen. And so you have to make the estimates crystal clear. Easiest exercise to do that. When you build an estimate, take the estimate, send it to one of your friends and say, does this make sense? Tell me what I just quoted them, line by line. Does this make sense? If they have questions, you weren't clear enough. End of story. That completely changed the game for us. Our close rate went up. Our average ticket went up. Everything went up when we started doing that. So that's a huge piece for you too. Now, the last and final piece of the sales process is obviously when they approve the job. And if you're taking deposits, when they've given you the deposit, the next portion of speed is speed to job completion. Stop booking people 2 or 3 weeks out. So many people, even if you take deposits, I don't care how ironclad your legal stuff is. I don't care about how ironclad all of the verbiage in your quote is. Deposits are non-refundable. What are you going to do? Do a home service job against somebody's will? Like, how does that really work? You're going to, if you take their 50% deposit and then they're like, actually, we need to go somewhere else. Yeah, everybody can sit here and act like they're a tough guy. But if you took a 50% deposit on a $10,000 job and your deposits were non-refundable and the customer tries to cancel, you're going to pocket $5,000 from them because of your terms of service. And then I can almost guarantee you that you're going to get a 1-star review on Google if they don't use you and you just keep their $5,000. They're going to take some form of legal action and the juice will not be worth the squeeze. And so if you want to lower your cancellation rate, you want to book these jobs as fast as humanly possible. So maybe that becomes an operational conversation for you and your team. If you're booked 3 weeks out, then it's probably time to hire. And it's probably time to make it so when people say yes to you, you're only booked 1 week out or 2 weeks out, because a lot of life can happen between initial quote and job approval and actually completing the job. Customers are fickle. Life happens. It doesn't matter how ironclad your systems are and your verbiage is. You don't want to be put in a position where the customer cancels and you either A, have to strong arm them and get in a really awkward conversation, or B, you just have to give the money back. And now you have a job that you spent all this effort quoting and drawing up and you got excited because you got the deposit and all that jazz. And then you're going to refund them or something like that. And so speed goes the entire way. Speed to lead, speed to appointment, speed to given quote, speed to approved quote, turned into job, speed to completed job, and then speed to getting paid. The last thing I will say, and this is really easy for anybody, you should have a system where you save the credit card on file if you take deposits. I cannot believe how many businesses that I see are still like taking checks and taking cash and chasing people down for invoices. In our system, we have it spelled out, and this is from 200 plus customers in a 2-month period last year, where we have it said, hey, when you put in your deposit on our website and you approve our quote, the second the job is completed and you sign off on it, we're going to auto pull the second half of the payment automatically. You don't even have to pay. We have never had somebody complain, ever. So you guys are like, ooh, that I don't know about that. That sounds a little crazy. The auto pull works as long as you close out the job and you walk the customer through the finished job and they like it. You've already pre-framed that to them. And so then we just auto charge the credit card. They get a receipt. Everybody's happy and we move on with our day. Get the money, dollar bill. So if you take anything from this video, it's pre-framing that you're not the neighborhood crackhead. It's the speed across the entire process of the business. And it's paying very close attention to all the details in the quote and estimate, because I assure you, if you do all of these things that I'm spelling out for you here, you will make so much more money because your close rate will be higher. The time it takes for you to actually collect the cash will be shorter. Thus, you're going to see more money come into your business bank account quicker. Therefore, you're going to take more money faster. And then you're going to go invest into other systems of your business faster because you don't have cash flow and collection problems. And then pretty soon you're going to turn around and be like, wow, I'm doing 50% more in the month of June in 2025 than I am in the month of June in 2024. That's pretty neat. I wonder what changed. This is what changed. You're running your business like an actual business and not an owner op. And I can tell you firsthand, when we changed and did these processes, our business exploded. It's not coincidence. Sure, did I get a little bit better at making ads? Did I get a little bit better at getting Google reviews? Absolutely. But the data is crystal clear. The more good work we did and the more quality and an emphasis we placed on the speed of every aspect of our business, the more money we made. And ask any entrepreneur that's doing 7, 8, 9 figures in their businesses. They are obsessed with speed. They're obsessed with speed and giving the customer what they want fast. And if you guys want to see more content about how to source the leads better, how to run ads better, you can subscribe on this YouTube channel. I love nerding out about this stuff. You can join the Starter School, which is for guys that are doing a little bit less than $10,000 a month. That's probably a good starting point for you. If you're doing over $10,000, $15,000 a month, you can book a call with us on Home Service Accelerator Pro, where we come in, we teach you how to run your own Facebook ads, we optimize your Google business page for you, we put you in a part of a massive community of home service business owners with guys in the program that are ranging anywhere from, 10 to 50K a month, all the way to guys that are doing $1 million a month. And you can network with them. You can learn from me. You can learn from a bunch of other guys there. If you're more interested in the pro group, there's a link in the description that says book a call with us to talk about Home Service Accelerator Pro. Or you can do what I hope everybody does here is you subscribe here, you follow me on Instagram, and you consume all of this content for free. You start getting your business growing even more. And then eventually you reach out to us and we can help you even further. But keep watching. Let me know what you think about this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Talk to you soon.